Welcome back to the Curious Yapper. I'm Madison, your host and favorite yapper, and it is the first day of 2026, and I wanted to take the time to look back at 2025 to see all that happened. And I won't make this strictly a highlight reel. The Curious Yapper is a place where we keep it real, and I'm going to start off with the lows because I want to make sure I'm communicating that 2025 was not a year of just easy walk in the park, no hurdles, because there certainly was hurdles. So let's start it off with some of the lows. And pretty much a year ago now, January 2025, I did an office visit to our Pacific Northwest office location. And that visit actually had me very anxious because it brought a lot of anxiety and self-doubt. And I wondered if I was even going to be successful in this office. And I was very confused. So that's how it started. Then after the office portion, Evan and I started looking at housing options. It was very overwhelming, and we were pretty disappointed with what we were seeing and finding. Then we eventually found where we moved into now, and it was better. I do not want to discount the anxiety, confusion, and even thoughts. Evan and I looked at each other thinking, is this the right move? Is this what we should be doing? So that's how it started. Then back in February, it was really challenging to say goodbye to Texas. I had lived in the same area since I was born, and about 25 years of my life was there outside of the 4 years of going to college. So that was what I knew. That is what I had really envisioned for my future. So that was really challenging. And at the same time, I knew that I was also saying goodbye to my childhood home. So it was moving away from community, away from family, and also the attachment to the house I grew up in, because I knew that my mom was being serious about going to find a new property. So there was all kinds of feelings that came along with that. And then we did move to the Pacific Northwest. And after our first grocery trip haul, Evan and I looked at each other and thought, did we make a mistake? Did we just romanticize this idea of moving away? Was this really what we should be doing? So I want to be transparent that there were all kinds of feelings throughout the entire journey, and I'll bring you along for some of the others. So continuing on with some of the challenges, then moving and not having the community, and it was moving without community, both professionally and personally. That was really, really challenging for me. I had built some community back in Texas, and then also I dearly loved my Texas colleagues, and it was really hard to be new and start over and no one really know me or accept me yet. So that was really challenging. It was a low season of life for sure. Then coinciding with that, the loneliness of not having the community was significant. So it was challenging to be new. We're feeling some emotions. Challenging to be new, and then also challenging that people weren't going out of their way to welcome me. And I am that person for new people. So it was really hard not to have a Madison somewhere in the community here. So it was really challenging. So as you can see, the emotions are real. Then another huge part of The challenges this year was work. Work was really challenging. I moved, that's a layer of it. There was lots of change and transition and unknown challenges, hurdles, all of that. And it really tested me to make sure that I was prioritizing myself, and I failed. I failed for sure. It impacted my energy, my mental health, physical health, and this is going to be a little emotional. It also impacted Evan and I because I was pulling away because there was so much going on and I just felt really out of control. And instead of exercising my skills to lean in and allow him to support me and be vulnerable, I was pulling away, and I was not the partner that I wanted to be. And the whole therapy journey started because back in 2023, I didn't feel like I was the partner that I wanted to be to Evan. And I was noticing some of the behaviors and patterns come back as I was really stressed with work. So, struggled. Want to be transparent that it was not this light, fluffy year. And we're always going to go through seasons, learn stuff about me, learn that I have to actively use my tools to not revert back to all of my old patterns. So, learn and grow, I guess. Then, in addition to all of the work stress and have it impact me personally, I also somehow injured my ankle back in July, and that also really hurt my mental health because I was not mobile and couldn't do all the things I wanted to do. And one of the ways I have learned to cope with stress and increase my mental health in a positive way has been movement. And so I like to move my body, whether that was paddleboarding this year, going on walks in the neighborhood, going on hikes, etc. Moving is really important to me and my mental health. And that is why I am very adamant about moving for my mental health. So I have made some progress with the ankle. It is not 100%, and some days that really bums me out. So perhaps in 2026 I'll actually go to a specialist. We'll see. Anyway, so that was another low. Then another low was navigating family and family dynamics, especially during my low mental health seasons. I've talked about it on another episode before, but the way I needed support as a child was not the support I always got. And so I have not developed healthy coping, and I just turn inward and just do it all by myself. So that was challenging to also have reminders of, and so that was challenging. Then another layer of that is I would be fully transparent about all of childhood and dynamics and stuff. I find myself not speaking all of my full thoughts because family does watch this podcast, and we'll see if 2026 Madison changes where I just am able to say all the thoughts and not try to anticipate other people's feelings. That's actually a sense of codependency when you try to anticipate other people's feelings. So perhaps 2026 Madison will just speak freely. Anyways, family dynamics and relationships are challenging. Then the last low is not being able to assert my boundaries and not talk about things that I don't want to talk about that make me uncomfortable. I have made strides again since I've been in therapy, learned what my values and boundaries are. I did not always exercise those in 2025. So, wanted to start with the lows. Now we're going to talk about the good. It is a balance between all of it. And again, I do not want to brush over the lows. Because as you can see, the lows are real and they were real. So here we go. Boop. Let's talk about the good. So in January, although the visit to the office was challenging and had its own lows associated with it, we found our new home. So that's where I'm sitting in today. And wow, the feels are real. Okay. Another fun that came out of that trip was our Airbnb at the time had bikes, and I had not ridden a bike since middle school. So that was really fun to get to do that for years, decades. I don't know, remember when middle school was. But so we found our new home in January and rode a bike. So that was really fun. Then in the same trip also, we did the Multnomah Falls hike, and it was really cool to see how my body had become stronger since the last time we had done that, May 2024. And I hiked that Multnomah Falls back in 2024 with bronchitis. So January 2025, without bronchitis, it went a lot better. And that was cool to see the strength my body had accumulated in, I guess that was less than a year since I had hiked it before. Then, also in January, when I was still in Texas, I got a precancerous spot removed from my back. So yay to health and taking care of it and doing early intervention. So that was good. Then in the same month, I also got to judge some high school band auditions with my high school band director. So that was really fun because the music side of things and the band side of things was a large part of my life. I'm still feeling the emotions. Music's been a large part of my life. Band has been a large part of my life. And it was really fun to go back and listen to 8th graders play their little solos and their scales and see if they were a good fit for the high school. So that was really fun to hang out and get to do some music for the day. And at the same time, in January, Evan and I also went to our last Dallas Symphony Orchestra concert, and that was really special. Wow, I'm feeling emotions. Drink some water. Okay. DSO was also really cool because when Evan and I were in college, we went to a few DSO concerts together. Evan actually worked at the DSO as an usher for about a year, and it's just music has been something part of our lives, and so that was really fun to get to go to a concert before we had moved. Then in February, I went back and looked at my pictures, and that's how I came up with some of these. And in February, I got to do a paint by numbers with my sister, and we had some sister time. And then I also took myself on a solo date to go paint my niece a birthday plate. And that's a huge thing for me because 2023 Madison would have never been caught doing anything solo. I have always been in my head about people judging if I don't have someone with me and doing something solo. So I reject that. And I think it's really cool that I went on a solo date to a paint by numbers, not a paint by numbers, like a ceramics place to paint my niece a birthday plate. Then my camera roll also showed lots of different final dinners with family and friends. We went to some of our staples and our favorites to make sure we could have the food that we would miss. So that was also good to see those photos. Then it was my mom's birthday. We went and did a fun tasting around, there's Legacy Hall in Plano, Texas, and we just went around and got a bunch of different food, and so that was really fun and special to celebrate her birthday that way. Then also in February, it was my niece's birthday. Went to a fun indoor playground with slides and ball pit, and it was just fun to get to celebrate her that way. Then at the very end of February, we had our goodbye party in Texas, and we got to see family came, friends came, some friends came from Houston, so that was really special. We also had colleagues show up, and then some of my former students showed up, so it was really special to send us off in that way. Then in March was the month that we moved. Before we moved, we had our last triple dipper at Chili's. Went with my mom, and that was fun. Then we'll see if the emotions come back for me. There was lots of goodbyes, lots of crying in March for sure. Oh, here we go. So saying bye to work people. We said bye to our townhome. Wow. That Evan and I lived in for 3 years. I think it was 3 years. And there was lots of growth in the townhome, lots of life lived. So, wow. It was really hard to say bye to it. So I cried then. I'm crying now. Wow. Okay. Whew. Then, after all the byes in Texas, we also started our cross-country trip to make it to the Pacific Northwest. And tears when we said bye. Wow. I have therapy this week, so woo, that's good. So, crying in Oklahoma saying bye. Colorado, we got to stay with my friend. We didn't cry there, so perhaps I will move through this. So Colorado, no crying. We had lots of good friend time. We had some good food. We went hiking. And if you watched the first episode of The Curious Yapper, I talked about that Colorado hike, and it was really funny because we did not go on the trail we had thought we were going on. So we took my friend on this crazy hike. It was hard, and it felt like we were scaling rocks. We weren't really, but we were climbing over rocks. And so that is a memory ingrained in my head about that Colorado portion of it. Then we had originally planned to do Utah on our loop up to the Pacific Northwest. That one didn't pan out, so we pivoted and we went to Wyoming instead. I had never been there. We got to see the Tetons, which were so pretty. They were covered in snow, and there were some beautiful sunsets that we got to see, so that was really special. And then Boise was another stop. I don't really remember it, so not much to say there. Then another stop was Bend, Oregon, and we got to do some outdoor and some hiking time. And then we made it to our new home, and when we first arrived, we didn't have any of our belongings. We only had what we had packed in the car, and so we were sleeping on an air mattress. I don't remember if it was 1 or 2 nights, but it wasn't even that long. And we had the air mattress, and we also had lawn chairs to sit in our living room. And then Evan was here when they delivered all of our stuff, so he got to take care of that. And then when we arrived, it was pretty much hiking as soon as we got here. I think the first day, I don't remember if the first day we just chilled But I know day 2 we were already on the trails, which was awesome. Also, right when we got here is when I started the Curious Yapper, and so that's really cool and special also. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to do it. I was in my head about logistics, but hey, here we are. This is actually episode 39, and my recap from this past week will be episode 40, which is just wild to think about. So Curious Yapper started work, met my friend in Seattle, and if you watched the first episode or the second episode, you would know that we were trying to see cherry blossoms. They were not there. Then more hiking, because now we were in our new home. Saw flowers galore. I love flowers. We also in March went to the Dancing with the Stars tour, which was really cool. We started going to some farmers markets, and then I attempted to see cherry blossoms. Saw some, but not the big impact. So hopefully 2026, I'm manifesting seeing some cherry blossoms in their prime. That takes us to the next month is April. And that's when some of the feeling lonely and the work stress started impacting home for sure. And then with that, one of my sweet friends, one that visited me back in May, she sent me my favorite cookies from the Cookie Society because she knows that those are my favorite, and I was feeling down. And in the same month of April, it was my low. I decided that I was going to be brave and go to a game event at a local library, and I actually met a lady, and she invited me to her game group, and I think I've been joining their games since end of June or July, something along those lines. It might be July. So just wild that I decided to go, and now I actually have some community out of that. So really cool. Then more flowers, just love the flowers. In April, went to the tulip farm, which was really cool. And then outside time, we were outside doing hikes, being around the neighborhood, wherever. It was really vital to continuing on. And then I think one of my favorite hikes, if not my favorite hike, was this wildflower hike that had a bunch of sunflowers, and I think it's lupin is the blue flower. Anyways, beautiful, gorgeous. Ended up seeing Mount Hood from the hike. I had no idea, really special. So that happened in April. And then I also, for the first time in that month as well, went to a book club meetup, which was fun. And I have met people through that too. So trying to do the things to fill what my needs are. Then in May, more hiking. We had our first visitor from Texas, same girl who brought me sent me the cookies. So we had an awesome friend weekend, got to show her all around. And then towards the end of May, took a Texas trip for my dad's big birthday, and we got to play games, got to see friends and family. And then of course I also made my own pit stop for my cookies at the Cookie Society, and that was delicious. At the very end of May, Evan and I went to our vacation to Redwood National Park. The scenic drive on the way there was just gorgeous. We were following the Pacific Ocean. We hiked, we had beach time. It was just really rejuvenating and really special to do together. Then on our way back from that trip, we also went to the peony farm, and those peonies were as big as my head and just filled my cup again with flowers. More hiking, of course, in May. Then June, I had traveled to Texas for work, and I got to see people again, and at the same time, I overextended myself and had too much every single day. I have still not mastered the balance of work trips. It's a work in progress for me. Then really exciting in June was we purchased our inflatable paddleboard and kayak. And what's really cool about that is I have always wanted the water sports and water access. And I always pictured that it had to be the hard shell kayaks, paddleboards, etc. And I didn't even think about it being inflatable so that I could do it with any vehicle. So got inflatable ones, really fun. We got to go for the first time together, and it's just really special because it was my dream happening in real life. And I spent a lot of time at the lake and on the water in the summer months because I just loved it there. We of course did more hiking in June, and we also, our wedding anniversary is in June, and Evan and I went rail biking, which was really cool. So we did that for our anniversary, and then we just saw beautiful stuff all around. Summer is beautiful, spring is beautiful. It's just beautiful here. And so since we're new, we just are enamored and love all of it. Then I also started going solo paddleboarding myself and started very regularly taking my paddleboard after work and going and just spending that time by myself. And again, doing the things solo. 2023 Madison could never. So 2025 Madison doing that was a huge deal and really exciting. And also in that month being up here, there's a bunch of berries. We went berry picking. We found blueberries and strawberries. We were kind of past the peak of the strawberry season, so we have to plan that a little better next year. But it was really fun to do that. I hadn't really picked berries in that capacity, I don't think ever in my life. So really cool. And I also in June went to Florida for work, and that was a whole adventure in itself. I also went to the beach solo because I can, because I'm capable. So really fun. The end of that Florida trip, there's an episode somewhere talking about it. I think the title of the episode is something about travel fail or plane fail or something. But the travel went awry, and watch the episode if you're curious, but it was pretty crazy. And I was running across the airport trying to catch a flight, ended up having a layover in Texas, and with that I randomly went to the Texas office for a few hours, and then eventually got to come back home. But that was wild. Oh, in that same trip, my suitcase handle also broke and wouldn't go down. Like, you can't make it up. In the same day I'm trying to catch and run for my flight. I'd made it to Texas. I'm trying to pack and reshuffle my stuff because I think I ended up taking a quick shower at my mom's house, and it wouldn't go down. So I'm watching YouTube videos how to solve this. I have like screwdriver. It was just a hot mess. So that is funny now. Wasn't funny necessarily at the time. Then in June, I also went to a paddleboard meetup. So I found more people. I had to drive like 30-45 minutes to go to this meetup. Still fun. My worst nightmare happened at that meetup where I fell in the water, and I did not know if I'd be able to get back on my paddleboard, and certainly not gracefully. Turns out I fell. It's still okay. I'm living here today. It was embarrassing. I did get back on. It was not pretty, but hey, it happened. And so that was June. July, I had a picture where I made bouquets. We went with friends. We went to Trader Joe's, picked out some flowers, and then made different bouquets. And all of us with the same flowers ended up with totally different vibes that represented us. So that was fun. And then my sister was here, and so that was very cup filling, it was just great, just sister weekend. We got to see a lavender farm, took her to some of my favorite places. We spent some time just diamond dotting because she had gotten me into that, and we went to a winery, and for her birthday, and then for my birthday, we ended up going to a plant nursery, and we bought some plants. Sister, out of the 3 you got me, you know 2 are gone. Fingers crossed the 3rd is gonna make it, but she's not looking good. So I don't know. Anyways, we bought really cute plants. And whether they last or not, that's a different thing. Then more paddleboarding in July. Loved it. More flowers. My camera roll was filled with flowers. I love it so much. Just walking in the neighborhoods here, new flowers were blooming all the time. Just exceptional. Then July is a big month. I turned 30, you guys. Big year. I'm pumped for the 30s. I know some people have feelings about growing older. I'm excited for my 30s. That's it. Then I also, at the same month in July, started a new role at work. And what's exciting is I went on a birthday trip to Mount Rainier, and Evan and I went on hikes And it was just great. And it felt really cool that I was like, this is my birthday present. This is what I want to do. And it was great. On the hike, there was lots of cool flowers. So there was more flowers when we came home, more hiking when we came home. Then some of my Texas colleagues visited the Pacific Northwest office and got to see them, catch up. Also, we met Evan's cousins. He hadn't seen them since he was a kid, and I got to meet them for the first time. So fun. They've turned into a staple of family time pretty much every month or every other month. And then the same month in July, Evan and I went to an ice cream festival. My friend visited, which was exciting. We spent lots of time in nature, lots of flowers, went to the farmer's market, just good to host and have her. And then in that same month, I started walking with a friend from work. So there was like a small little community, little connection. It was cool. August, we went to some hikes on the coast. So that was exciting to do and explore with Evan. I also continued doing the paddleboarding after work to keep me sane and support my mental health. I went to the game nights with that game group from the lady I met back in April randomly at the library. Evan and I went to a really cool, beautiful sunset. We had to drive up. That's the bear episode. It's really pretty. Also stumbled upon a bear and we got more plants. My camera roll is like, this is the month you got more plants. So I love it. We also did a little Seattle excursion there as well. September brings us to a wonderful trip to Olympic National Park. So many beautiful things that we got to see, lots of hiking. I just really enjoy being in nature, and Evan and I really enjoy the national park. So where will we go in 2026? Who knows? We're excited about that. More paddleboarding. Actually, I went paddleboarding once in September, and I went twice. It was the Monday after Labor Day. And nobody was at the lake anymore. So I said, oh, is this the end of the season? And then the temperature started dropping, and so I just didn't kind of go anymore. So I'm looking forward to, maybe I don't know if I'll start back in April, if I'll wait till May, not sure, but excited to paddleboard again. Also in September, I went to a dahlia farm with beautiful flowers, which a lot of my flower wall came from, or lots of inspiration from that. And I also did that solo. So I can do things by myself, which again, 2023 Madison would have never thought. So really cool to see that as well. Then September was a very low month for me, for sure. Lots of crying. And I think that's some of the portion where I was not the partner I wanted to be. There were some beautiful moments in there where I did allow Evan to show up for me and to comfort me. So that was beautiful. Not discounting any of the stuff I shared earlier though. So September was very, very low. Yay for therapy. That was another episode where I think I stopped posting in September on the Curious Yapper. Pretty sure that's when that happened. And I had gone to therapy, shared some stuff, and she said, so do we need to meet next week instead of skipping a week? And turned out I needed weekly for a little bit. So glad for that support and that consistency with therapy. Highly recommend therapy. You should do it. Then in that same month, my dad visited, got to show him some of our stomping grounds, took him to the coast, took him to one of our favorite towns in Oregon. So that was good. Then Crater Lake National Park, we went and did a quick weekend getaway there, got to hike, got to see it because 2025 now, they're doing construction and there's not a way to go directly to the water because they're redoing it. So it'll be closed for a couple of years. So we wanted our chance to go see and touch the Crater Lake water. And then that takes us to October. I was still low mentally, starting to come out of it, and my friend visited and got to do lots of different things with her. Went to the rose garden, went to the pumpkin patch. I had a whole episode on that. Got to find some chips and queso, which I haven't gone back, so I need to do that. And especially since I failed, that was my last episode talking about my failed of queso. and the leaves were starting to change in October. Just beautiful. Loved it so much. Went and had time with my game group, and Evan's brother and his family visited in October as well. Lots of new experiences and fun to share home with them. Hiking, got to see the leaves changing, took them to the beach. So just, it was fun. Also, again, don't want to discount that I was in a low season. So even though I'm saying that there were some highs, certainly challenging. Then November was last month, set up that Christmas tree first weekend. We did lots more hiking. I tried some new Turkish food with friends, and I went to an escape room with them, which was cool. We also went to the South. We went to Texas and Oklahoma for early family holidays, and it was a whirlwind. I also combined that with a work trip, and it was crazy busy. Again, I have not found the sweet spot of knowing how to balance Texas, friends, family with work. So maybe 2026 I'll figure it out. Not entirely sure. Then after that visit, it was so good to be home, and it feels good and confirming that Evan and I are in the place we need to be, and just feels good. So that was nice. Then it was Thanksgiving, just me and Evan. For the first time in our lives, we did what exactly we wanted to do. We did a little cabin getaway and went hiking on Thanksgiving. It was the perfect thing for us. And then when we got back on a Friday, I guess technically it's Black Friday, we stumbled upon the Christmas boat parade and stumbled upon the tree lighting, which was crazy and fun. And then it was Evan's birthday at the very end of the month, and we got to celebrate him how he likes to be celebrated. Then this month for December, I guess it was last month or January, you guys. December, I finally printed out those wall prints that I showed on a previous episode. I also got to do Christmas potluck with my game group. We ended up going to Colorado and Kansas to celebrate a graduation, then got to see my friend out of it, got to eat some great food. That was part of that episode too. Then some work festivities. There was White Elephant, made some wreath cookies for that. And my wreath cookies were a hit. I took those to my game group, and my friend really enjoyed those. So then it was a really relaxed Christmas with Evan. Didn't do very much, and it felt us, and it felt no pressure. Got to see Evan's cousins for the holiday a couple of days later. Then got to have games this past Sunday. And I saw yesterday on my story graph, I have read 48 books in 2025, which is huge, and I would have never guessed. I started reading fiction books in 2024. Before that, it was all self-help. It's pretty dense, and fiction is so fun. I love it. Now when my therapist recommends, hey, I think you would really benefit from this self-help book, I think to myself, but why would I do that when I could read fiction? So it's funny that my perspective on that has changed, because now I just want to read because it's just fun. I don't necessarily want to learn from reading, so I have to juggle that. I listened to some self-help this year, and that was cool. I think I like the audiobooks for self-help, and I like to read with my eyes for fiction. So anyways, that was a lot from this year. And as I shared a little bit in my last episode, I'm excited for the goals in the upcoming year of 2026. I am reframing the way that I approach and think about goals, and just really excited to see what it has in store. I know that there will be highs. I know and can guarantee there will be lows. As you can see, even talking about some of the lows from this year, it still feels fresh and it is real. I will never, ever, ever discount the low seasons, and they are important to acknowledge. So we made it, everybody. You're still here if you're watching this episode, and I know that you also probably went through some of your own lows, and take the time to sit in the lows, figure out what feelings come up, what insecurities, what fears are being triggered by the lows, And honestly, get yourselves in therapy. 2026, may it be the year that we're all in therapy and actually healing with professional help. So anyways, that's my plug. Thanks for being here for 2025, Yappers. I still think it's crazy that I just started talking to my phone back in March 2025. Here we are. What a year. Again, the highs, the lows. Have a great 2026. I hope it brings you some very joyous moments and allow yourself to relish in all of the different aspects that 2026 brings. I'll still record an episode of the recap from this past week, but thanks for being here, Yappers. See you soon. Bye.